It's time for the show. Previously on the incredible, amazing, spectacular Red. Now this spaceship crashed right in the middle of the city. And the church said amen. We got introduced to Red. And then the Baldies came. And they had a sinister plan. Meanwhile, dig this twist. Back at the crash site, that busted spaceship started sparking and sputtering like a garbage disposal with a bad attitude. Then it grows arms, legs, stands up tall like a metal beanstalk straight out of Hell's Garden. That tin nightmare starts stomping through the city. Boom, boom. Whole block shaking like a bad dance floor. Folks screaming, scattering, ducking, and diving every which way, trying not to get squashed like yesterday's trash. And wouldn't you know it, the incredible, amazing, spectacular Red heard the cries. I have to do something. I have to try and make a difference. Hero sense tingling. Cape flapping, he was there in a flash, straight to the danger zone. That metal monstrosity tried to flex, but it wasn't built for Red's kind of business, baby. Giving it the righteous stare of a man who don't bluff. Bam! Whap! 10 folded like cheap luggage. Then here come the cops, late to the party, full of questions, acting like they didn't just see a walking garbage disposal with a wok on his head get laid out cold. Red wasn't signing autographs or smiling for cameras. Nah, baby. He hit him with that classic up, up, and away. Took off like a bat out of hell. You won't want to miss what happens next on the incredible, amazing, spectacular Red. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Want to talk about villains this time. Want to start off with, classic giant robot archetype. And, what that represents. I think that represents, in my opinion, larger than life problems. Here's this tiny superhero and he's got big problems. He's got to deal with something much bigger than him, insurmountable odds. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna run and scream like everybody else, or is he gonna stand his ground? And so I think a superhero should stand their ground. I think a superhero should, stare that danger in the face, 10 toes down, and stare it down and take it head on and save the day at the end. I wanted it to be, not too serious, but, serious enough so that, it's a fun little, few minutes of a thrill. So I made this giant robot and everything. I used 3D assets. I'm so sorry, I forget the program right now, but I will put that in the description. Yeah, and I gave it all these special effects. I was thinking, originally this was supposed to be a extraterrestrial episode. I had this idea for this, giant green goop monster, to come out of the spaceship. But then I was like, well, what if the spaceship itself were the alien? What if it was like this giant mechanical creature that came down and just classic Godzilla style, just starts stomping around, and, its motives, if it has any motives, are completely alien, things that, our human brains couldn't comprehend, or maybe it just malfunctioned. Maybe that's why the, it's sparking and sputtering and, out of control. And, maybe it was meant for something else. Maybe it was, who knows? You get to let your imagination fly, let your imagination run wild, because it's an alien creature from outer space, and it's here. And the only one that can save us is the incredible, amazing, spectacular Red. And that's totally the vibe that I wanted to go for. I wanted to go for superhero saves the day. But what is he saving the day from? He's saving the day from, insurmountable odds. The biggest threat he's faced, since getting his superpowers. And he's out there in the city, and, there's posters of him. The people, they're taking a liking to him. Maybe he hasn't been a superhero that long, but, they see him, they know who he is, and probably explore that more later on in a future episode. And, something fun, something cool, kind of take your mind off of more serious things going on in the world right now. Whatever that may be for you at the moment. And something lighthearted, and hopefully that you find entertaining, and that you will return for next week. Because next week we got another episode of the incredible, amazing, spectacular Red. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, which I hope you did, leave a comment down below and click that like button. And I'll see you next week for another episode of the incredible, amazing, spectacular Red.